Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Danny here. Today I'm talking to you guys about Ichigeki. So Ichigeki, or A Dog's Life, I guess, because alternative titles also is Blow or Inu no Sekatsu, which is A Dog's Life, which, I mean, I can understand based off of what's going on here. So let's go ahead and get into the synopsis real quick. It's a martial arts historical series about a peasant turned samurai and caught in the turmoil of the final year of the Edo period, 1868. Yeah, it's one of those pieces right here, samurai mangas from back in the day, and it is written by Yoshio Nagai, and I tried to look him up, and it seems like this is his only work he's done manga-wise, which is pretty crazy. And then the artist is Jiro Matsumoto, and he's done quite a bit of work. He's got a pretty good history of manga here, so I might check those out in the future as well. This came out April of 2016. It's still ongoing. It's in Comic Ran. It's a magazine. Not a lot of stuff that I recognize, but yeah, historical pieces is what it looks like here that the magazine really focuses on, and it seems that it is also monthly based off the pages for each chapter. So I just caught up at the time of this recording. I'm recording this pretty early from when this will probably drop. And that is chapter 33. And that is the start of this intense arc. Like this big battle going on right now. Let's go ahead and get right into it, man. So like it said, it's towards the end of the Edo period. War's going on in the streets of Edo. And so these samurai decide to go to villages and recruit some peasants that seem like they're able to learn the ways of the sword, and that's where we meet our group of thugs, our main characters here, who are called the One Strike, One Kill Force, or Squad, that they're called. And the reason is because they only had 6 days to train before they actually went out on their first mission, and the goal was just to focus on attack, so that way, hey, just one kill, or one hit for a kill. Could just kill a few of them and then retreat, and then they just do that over and over again. And they mainly attacked like Ronin that got hired and mercenaries to help with this war going on, mainly political war as well going on here as we get into the story here. So we have our main characters. We have a lot of them. The ones that just really focused on is Ushigoro. He's the one we always see. He is the shortest guy out of the group, but he's also pretty strong, and he's also the smartest. And he is the most determined out of everybody here to become an official samurai, so that way they can stop living the peasant life, because he wants to take care of his sister Chiyo, and I guess his grandmother as well. And then we have a bunch of other people from similar villages, ones nearby, and all sorts of the like, and they're just training. Now they're officially quote unquote samurai as they do out these missions, and that is pretty much the premise here. Yeah, it's a big group of characters here. I have a feeling that the main antagonist at the end is going to be Imura. It's this literally inverse of a character, right? Different ways of thinking towards this turning point in both their lives. And also he is hulking and tall and very skilled at the sword, where Ushigoro is, barely learning how to use it. This manga is pretty cool. One thing I have to give props to is when it comes to period pieces like this, there's just so much jargon, so much explanation going on. When it comes to this is what we have to do, we have to get heavy in the political side. And it's not really the case here in Ichigeki. It's mainly focused on seeing our peasants turn samurais and the growth that they're going for most of the time, or how they still act like peasants and they still don't understand what their status change in the world type of deal. But they're, enjoying it as much as they can. And then the action pieces as well, when they actually go out and do fight. And I think that's the strongest point here for this manga, is the attacks. Every time they fight samurais, the art really gives it the intensity that I feel like makes it great, especially the current fight right now where we're at in the chapter 33. Really great stuff there. And honestly, it feels like it's almost over, because the way they implement this arc is we have to take this guy out. He's the mastermind behind the Sasuma samurai. So I feel like after this, we're probably going to have maybe one or two more arcs. Depends on what they want to go further, right? Because what we see with Ushigoro, he wants revenge on Imura for what he does later down in this manga. and I feel like we're not done with his story yet either. Other interesting characters to note here is Shimada. He is pretty much the guy in charge of this group. I think he's an interesting character. He's one that never shows a lot of emotion, but does show interest, especially in Ushiguro, because Ushiguro is the most collected, the most persistent when it comes to training, trying to understand the sword, and pretty much like the leader, more or less. All these other peasant samurais look towards him for decisions and advice and tactics, pretty much. So he's kind of forced himself in there, and Shimada, respects that out of him. So that's pretty cool, man. One other important character is Sono, right? She is a prostitute in the Edo nightlife. She's important because she resembles Ushiguro's sister a lot, which is Chiyo. And, he mainly picks her up at the brothel just to have sake and conversations, and it's like this weird relationship, right? Because again, she looks like his sister, but then things happen in like around halfway point of where we're at right now, and then when they meet for the final time before this arc kicks off, some things were said, and I was like, yeah, if it was the fact that she looks like his sister, it would be less weird. Other things to denote from the series, sadly, is the art. Now, I'm kind of a mixed bag when it comes to the art. The volume covers, right? Volume 1 is what caught me because it's our main character here. It looks pretty cool. I was getting a lot of Vagabond vibes, right? Because this is around the same era type of deal, same type of situations with our main characters. And again, the art looked great on the cover. But then when you start reading it, there's like some really great shots that are drawn so well, but then the art really lacks a lot. I think it's fine. It's very rough, very storyboard-esque, scratchy. It's kind of it's really rough, especially in the facial features. We're not really seeing a lot. They're expressive, yes, but it's like so much like chicken scratch, it looks like, on the pages, which is kind of just a little distracting, but I think the roughness is fine, mainly because it's helping the story out, right? Because these are a bunch of rough thugs, essentially, running around at night killing samurai. So it does kind of fit in there. Chapter covers are great, though. The art is definitely added in there. And again, the action pieces, the roughness adds some good elements to it, and then he does end up cleaning up the art in important parts of the fights. And that's really the only complaint for the art that I have. And yeah, again, just looking at this first volume, it really gives me a different impression on how the series is and how our main character is. It straight up reminds me of Vagabond Volume 1, like I said, and then reading it, it's like, oh, this is not what I expected. But, overall, it's enjoyable. It's engaging to a point, right? Nothing too like eye-catching like Ajin that we just recently talked about in a previous episode, but it was enough for me to go like, okay, I want to keep going. I want to see how interesting this series can get. And right now, it's not the most complex story. There's some great character buildup for a lot of our characters that we've seen here. Ushiguro, he has the most screen time, but even some of the side characters, these other peasant samurais, have some really good dialogue when it can kick in. Mainly like right before this final arc, they're all talking like as if this is the final night they get to talk to each other, finally getting some stuff off their chest, the repercussions of killing samurai or just killing in general, the nightmares that they get when they sleep, stuff coming in, and it's kind of sprinkled throughout the series for their characters, and I always thought that was great. And then of course our other main character here, who is the antagonist, really, right? Like I said, the inverse of Ushiguro, which is Imuda. He has a great flashback. It really adds more to his character. Because at first you're like, pretty one-dimensional. But you throw the flashback in and it's like, oh, okay, kind of makes sense. And then he has some dialogue with some opposing samurai. And that's great. And then Shimada, the other main character here, right, the guy in charge, he's all right. I mean, he has presence to be interesting, but he hasn't really shown enough to make him interesting yet. So that's the only unfortunate side with his character is I like what they could do with him, but we're not getting anywhere with it, and that's unfortunate. 33 chapters, monthly manga, samurai period piece. Go check it out. I recommend it. It's definitely interesting. If you do need that fix for your vagabond energy, I'd say this is the one to check out for sure. So that's all I really have to say about Ichigeki today, guys. Go check it out. Good stuff overall. I'm looking forward to seeing how this ends. And of course, we're going to be doing a part 2 when we get around there. If it's 1 or 2 more arcs, it really just depends how they want to end up with our main characters here after this big fight trying to get the leader out of everybody. So it's going to be interesting from that point forward. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. So while we wait for the part 2 of this, remember you can always follow us at Unverse Podcast anywhere you go on social media. Stay up to date on latest episodes. Send us an email, unversepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Did you check out this series already? Would love to hear your thoughts, of course. Thanks for listening as always, guys, and we're going to catch you on the next episode.